This is Dylan FM, the podcast that goes deep into the work and world of Bob Dylan. If you love Dylan, you're in the right place. With your host, Craig Danieloff.
There are more than a few Bob Dylan album covers where we know a lot about the photographers and the photographs. Thanks to interviews with people like Daniel Kramer, who produced the Bringing It All Back Home cover, or Jerry Schatzberg, who took the famous blurry photo on Blonde. Today we're going to learn the story of the World Gone Wrong cover photo, which was taken during the Blood in My Eyes video shoot. The cover photo on World Gone Wrong is distinctive, not the least because Dylan is wearing a top hat. But he's also in a striking setting, has great lighting with vibrant colors, and gives off a vibe which is just different from that he gives on every other album cover. Go to bobdylan.com, look at the man who's staring back at you on every cover from the first album through Springtime in New York. I think you'll notice a striking similarity in all of the faces except one. Even in 1961, Bob is confident. He looks like a centered person, someone who knows something and may be willing to tell you, but not on World Gone Wrong. That's a guy who may be in trouble and certainly does not exude confidence. He actually looks like he wants something, and it may be help. Our guest today took that photo and dozens of others that day. Her name is Ana Maria Vélez Wood. She's Colombian, had a career as a dancer and a choreographer, as well as a singer-songwriter, but she's also a lifelong photographer. She toured with the Eurythmics, among others, which led her friend Dave Stewart to give her a call when he was shooting a video and wanted some photographs taken. Ana tells us the story of that day today and how her picture came to be on the cover of World Gone Wrong. If you've seen the Blood in My Eyes video, you know that Bob turned up in a top hat and a long black jacket and walked around the streets of Camden in London, talking to people and signing autographs. He even walked around with a gang of folks following behind him. The black and white video is distinctive for a number of reasons. And besides the World Gone Wrong cover, you've probably seen a few other photos from that day as they've been used in magazines and on book covers by Michael Gray and Greil Marcus. But Ana took several dozen beautiful photos that day, both color and black and white, of Dylan in the street, with people, getting filmed, walking with a dog, and hanging around in Camden Town. Like the video, they're wonderful and distinctive. You can see all of these pictures on Ana's website, which we link to in the show notes, and you can even order prints. She's held 2 exhibitions of these photographs, one in Sweden in 2005 and another in London in 2012. There's a link in the show notes to a video of the London show, and there's a gorgeous full-color catalog from that show. We're working with Ana to make some copies available, so make sure you're on our 7 days mailing list. You can join at freakmusic.substack.com if you'd like some info on picking one up if we're able to make that happen. Ana was very generous in talking to us about that day, photographing Dylan, spending time with him after the shoot, and more. She's very thoughtful and shares great insights into the process and the people and the journey that a morning of photographs have taken her on for the last 30 years. If you're hearing this, you're listening to the public episode, which includes the core story of taking the pictures and their journey to the album cover. On our extended edition for FM Plus and Premium members, we talk with Ana for another 30 minutes, and you'll learn more about her private time with Dylan, the process of the shoot, and a lot more about the exhibitions and other events that have taken place because of these photographs. For our Premium members, the whole interview is on video, like all of our interviews, and it's filled with the photographs we discuss. You can join FM Plus right now with just a click on the subscribe button if you're in Apple Podcasts, or visit fmpods.com if you're listening at any other podcast player and want premium access. It's just $4.99 a month, and it gets you all of our 30-plus extended and bonus episodes from this and last season, plus over 300 more from Pod Dylan, the Dylan Taunts, and the other members of the FM Podcast Network. Joining also supports us in creating this kind of content, so if you can become a subscriber, it would be appreciated. Details on our premium membership is in the show notes too. Before listening to today's show, I'd strongly recommend you go watch the Blood in My Eyes video, especially if you haven't seen it in a while. There's a link in the show notes. We've got a great episode today, so let's talk with Ana Maria Vélez Wood. Welcome, Ana Maria Vélez Wood, who most people in the Dylan world don't know by name, but know her work because she shot the cover photo for World Gone Wrong, and as we're going to talk about, a series of very interesting photographs of Bob Dylan in 1993 in London. But Anna, thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
No, thank you so much for taking an interest on my photographs and the whole history around it. Is great to share it with all the Dylan fans.
Yeah, well, I only found out about your website recently, and I've obviously known the photographs, and we've seen them. I've got in the background, you're on the cover of the Grill Marcus book, and you've been on the
Oh,
cover
yes.
of other books, and people know the top hat photos, right? Because of the million distinctive Bob Dylan photos, the top hat, and even many in hats, but you've got the only top hat photos, I think. So everyone knows them, but there's way more to the story, and there's way more photographs than most people know, which we'll link to your website so people can see them and they can even order prints. But you've got an interesting background in that you got there by almost coincidence that you knew Dave Stewart because you had toured with the Eurythmics,
That's right.
and he knew to call you. So if you don't mind, tell us the story of how it came to be and a little bit about your day, and then we'll talk about it more.
In 1993, I had already known Dave Stewart for maybe 4 years. I have toured with him with the Rhythmics and also with the Spiritual Cowboys, which was post Eurythmics. And he knows about my background in photography because I've done photography since I was very young, and I always do photography, but photography has not been my real work. I just do photos wherever I am, and I'm always kind of seeing things, and I've been a very keen kind of photography adept. So what happened is that Dylan called him. I think he called him like at 2 in the morning or something like that, and he said, I want to do a video. And Dave, Dave is one of the pioneers of music videos, and he's a very visual person. He's actually a great photographer himself, and all to do with visuals. He's music and visuals is all connected to him. So Dylan knows this. He knows they very well. They're very good friends. And he said, I want you to direct this video for me. And he said, tomorrow. And so Dave was very excited. He's a mega Dylan fan as well as, being a friend. He kisses the earth he walks in. But anyway, somehow he said, he called me. I think it was maybe 7 in the morning. I had just gotten back from the Amazon, and I was really kind of trying to adapt to. I was in London, obviously, and I was trying to adapt, to the schedule, and so I was very, very jet lagged. And he said, "Listen, I need you to come and do these still photographs. I'm doing a video for Bob Dylan." And I said, "Okay, I'll be there." So I had to kind of, I stood and I got my camera ready. I had to repack because it was packed in a very funny way in a canteen, plastic canteen. So if I turn in the Amazon, everything floats in a canteen. So you have your most important belongings in a canteen. It's like a small milk canteen, plastic canteen. So I thought I can't bring that. So I made my kind of normal photography bag, and I got there. And then the day began, and that's how I got to do the photographs. That was my connection. And it was a very interesting day. Very, very interesting day. I went to the church studios, that was a recording studios in Crouch End that belonged to Dave Stewart. They don't belong to him anymore, but in those days, that was his recording studio. And I remember walking in and being introduced to Dylan, who just he shake my hand and and I said hello. But because my life has been really out of phase, I've never realized the I knew Bob Dylan obviously, and I know his big personality, but I was not completely aware of him as the depth of his work and his artistry. And my whole background has been in so many different things. And Bob Dylan was in the periphery, really. I didn't kind of thought much about it. And I said, and I was also, how am I going to do these photographs and everything? And how is this? I didn't know what to expect. We went out to the Lock in Camden Town. For people who don't know, London is this part of London where there are canals. It's called the Lock in Camden Town, and there is a huge market, so it's full of people. And then we started.
Was anything, blocked off, or there was locations reserved, or you were just going out into the public and whatever happened happened?
No, there was nothing. There was nothing. We just went there, and then we had a few. We had about maybe 4 or 5 people with us. Dave had a camera, and then two other people had a camera. I don't know. Small cameras, and then we had one person, a tall guy that I knew from music business who does security, but he was not official or anything. And, we just went out. No kind of, no preparation or anything. It was a very spontaneous thing. And it was great. Dave is great at doing that. And I found out that Dylan matched him very well for that, and they just, we had a little tiny tape recorder who played this song, a tiny little thing, played the song. And we had Dave filming. There were two other guys who were just kind of assisting him and filming, and this guy that I told you that it was kind of semi-security. It was not very official. He just kind of standing by. And apart from that, that was it. I think one of Dave's kids, who was very small at the time, was around in the nanny, or they were kind of very, very familiar, very kind of friendly. Nothing, that made a lot of noise. However, as we started filming, I think people started to realize, that we were doing a video, and who they recognized Dave, they recognized Dylan. Dylan, he was less recognizable to begin with, but he was so distinctive with that top hat.
Did the top hat come from Bob? Did it come from Dave? That it is distinctive.
I think that I know it came from Dylan. Yes, I don't know, but as long I saw it, and he was with a hat, so he must have thought about it. He must have thought about it, and it's a very very London thing. A top hat. It's not that nobody walks with a top hat here unless they're going to Ascot or something like that. But it is a very distinctive British thing, a top hat. And I don't know if he thought about it, but it is very funny, because some of the pictures, there is one picture in particular that I made in the exhibition, like I made it rounded, and it looks just like Abraham Lincoln. It just is so Abraham Lincoln. It was like incredible. So I made it like a coin, because when I saw it, and it was really difficult to find somebody to do me that frame, the rounded frame. it was hard work. Nobody wanted to do a round frame. And I said, no, it has to be in a round frame. And it is a beautiful kind of image because it symbolizes so much for me, that image. However, we went around and we went around, through different places, through the lock, through the main street. And then we walk into one cafe where I shot the cover. And it was all very, very fast. I mean, it's no posing for any moment. It was really, actually, you had to be really kind of alert because the shooting opportunities were scarce. It was like it was gone, you see. And there were people coming in and sitting in with him and standing, and there were all the people, it was not a lot of people, but it was still quite a few people because between the cameras and the people that they were engaging to sit with him in the table and the people who were playing the recorder, and it turns out to be maybe 10 people or
Oh, so the people who talked to Bob were asked to talk to Bob versus kind of being
yes,
people
they
who
were
they were hurt. I always thought they were just people on the street kind of bothering Bob.
no, it was they were interested and they definitely wanted to engage with him, but it so turned out that they wanted them to be on the picture, them meaning Bob and Dave. But I think it is very curious because I saw Dylan. It was beautiful see him how he was functioning because I think he was very, very aware, but he was nearly not present. It was like he was present only on his own mission of doing this
Yeah.
video. Yes, and some people there are some photographs, the ones that I took in the main street, where there are a lot of people coming and asking for autographs, and he was making it part of the video, but you see him, and he had an expression that he was in the song, but sometimes he'll go out of character, and then you see it in the photographs as well, how he just kind of very softly smiles and then goes back into his kind of video persona.
Did the crowd or the people who realized it was Dylan ever get out of control? Because, Dylan's whole life is him showing up somewhere and it building to a situation where he's got to leave because people aren't behaving.
Oh, no, it never got out of control, really. And then there is a moment where people are kind of recruited to walk behind him. There's a part that we're walking up from the lock up into a path and then crossing a bridge, and there is even a juggler kind of walking behind him. And they were all kind of recruited. Dave is a genius doing this. He knows how to kind of put people in the right place. And he may have said, oh, you just come. They were curious. Oh, yes, you want to be part of it? Just walk behind it, probably. We went to after the filming, we went back to the studio in Crouch End. And I think he took a little rest. I think he was kind of trying to gather himself. I don't know if he went for a walk. I think he went for a walk as well. And I hear he does that from other people. He kind of takes off and goes for walks. But I didn't really notice. I remember when I went to meet him, there was something really funny because Dave, and he's done this to me a few times in my life, before behind shows and, in the dressing room where he says to the roadie, oh, can you bring the guitar for Ana Maria? And all of a sudden, I have like, Tom Petty or George Harrison or, some kind of luminary in my dressing room. And he said, oh, can you sing a song for them? And I was like, oh, yeah. Anyway, I got used to it. And he did that to me with Bob. He said to somebody, "Can you bring the guitar?" And then he brought the guitar. I didn't know why he wanted the guitar. I was there, Dylan, Dave, and myself. And then he said, "Yeah, Anna, can you sing a song for Bob?" And then he left.
Oh my God.
Oh, yes. And he left me on the room, and I just sang a song for him. And I was going like, and he was very attentive and very complimentary. And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." I was kind of like a little bit nearly apologetic. I thought, God, this is, I'm not going to match this. It's kind of nearly imposing this. But he was very kind, very, you know, with a lot of elegance, because he was kind and complimentary, but not overly, just really very, the word is elegant. I don't know which other word to find. And then when we went back to the studio and he had that little walk and that little rest, we went to a restaurant in Crouch End. And he was quite quiet most of the time. He was very quiet. He'll speak to Dave. And then he wanted to know about my Amazon trip. He was very interested on
Oh, great.
Yeah, he was very interested. And I was telling, little kind of stories about it and everything. But he was quite quiet and not kind of just listening. And then all of a sudden he stretched to me and just put his hand in my arm and he said, "I have two daughters. One is called Ana and the other Maria." And then moved back.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so nice.
yeah, very nice, very nice. And after we had the dinner, me and Dave, we were all excited and said, "Oh, let's develop this photograph." So we went to Covent Garden, to this photography place it was called Joe's Basement. It doesn't exist anymore, but you could bring your films 24 hours and they will be ready in an hour. So we went there, and Dave had a flat very near there in Covent Garden. So we went for an hour to Dave's flat, and we were kind of like, "Yeah, we can go back. It's an hour. We come." And then we went and got the pictures, and we were looking at the pictures, and Dave said, "I'll bring them." Bob was going the next day to LA, and Dave was going the following day. So he took all the pictures. And then the other day, so it's 3 days after the video was filmed and I took the photographs, that somebody called me and said, "Bob wants this photograph to be the cover of the album." So it was like a real kind of, like so spontaneous and so kind of not expected, if you know what I mean.
That's all we have time for here, but here's a little bit of what you could hear in the extended episode. See the show notes to learn how to get access.
We borrowed a dog, a German Shepherd, to walk with Bob. I don't know, the German Shepherd with a little kind of a piece of wood in his mouth. Really lovely dog. I don't know if you've seen the painting that is behind him. And so I might have missed a lot of that, but I never felt that there was a situation where there was a threat where he had to run away. So I have this kind of gusto for poetry, but I never really went into the Dylan songs. Then I started to listen and to study all these songs, because we were choosing songs for the concert. And all of a sudden I said, "Oh my God." I opened a huge vault of like a treasure. And I ended up looking at this space, and I thought, this is the perfect space, but this is enormous. I'm going to tell you something. Some people have known me doing things, and they never realize I've done those pictures. And one day they say, "Oh my God, Dylan fans are so," it brings them so much happiness to see those photographs. So much happiness that I feel really happy.
Anna, thank you for today, for taking the time. And the photos are wonderful. My thanks for all you've shared. And I'm glad maybe this show a little bit can help more people find the full scope of them and understand the story. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Greg.
Did you enjoy this show? Then please rate this podcast and leave a review. It really helps. And take a moment to follow this podcast so you don't miss upcoming episodes. Thanks for listening.